So I was out here looking at my hives and I thought, man, I should show people what washboarding looks like. So if you see your bees doing this where they're facing up or down and they are pretty much rocking back and forth. I mean, if you really watch them close, let me see. See how close I can get before they start getting agitated with me. So if you really watch them close they're just kind of rocking forward and back, and I don't know if they're feeling the hive, or I'm not really sure what exactly washboarding is. Trying to Google it, really come up with a lot of different things. The only time I really see this occur is before it rains. There we go. And you can tell they're doing something with their head there, trying to, I don't know if they're, I don't know if they're cleaning the board or what they're doing, but they rock back and forth and they just do this curious thing with their mouth. And, you know, it could be a lot of things, because their feet have glands on them that spread smell, so they could just be making the outside of the hive smell like them. But this is what they do before it rains, at least here, and it doesn't really mean anything. It's just what they're doing. So, no worries. There's no sign of... So if you're looking at your bees and you see bees up on top and then bees coming down right here, it can be all different sizes. There could be a lot of them, just a little bit of them. That is called bearding. This would be more like a goatee, lopsided, or maybe like that emoji of the tongue sticking out. But that's what they're doing. Now, if you see this activity on a frame, when you pull out your frames, that would be called festooning. It's a little different. They're pulling out wax at that point. Right here, what they're doing is they're just making room for the colony so that they can keep venting. In this case, they're wax boarding as well. But bearding down at the bottom, this rocking back and forth here is wax boarding. And I don't see anybody that's fanning right now, but those are two terms that you'll have to learn at some point. Bearding, and then washboarding, where they rock back and forth cleaning. Two separate hives that are similar in make, as far as they have a brood box. They then have either supers above or two brood boxes and a super. And today was about 90 degrees out, and you can see, there we go, it's a little better. You can see that one has a little bit of bearding going on, and the other one has a whole lot of nothing going on. So you'll even see that the entrance reducer is pulled out of one, and in the other it's still in. So that's something that you just have to look at your bees and determine. They both can't, well, they both just won't act the same, and you can't treat them the same way. So the one on the right is two brood boxes deep, and it has a super that they're pulling out on top. But there's not as many bees in that one as there is on the one on the left. The one on the left never did swarm, and they also have a top entrance so that they can fill the super right away. But they never did swarm. The other hive did swarm at one point, so they're at two different levels and two different scenarios. So when you're dealing with your hives, try not to treat them all the same. Keep reading your notes and keep taking notes to make sure that you're on top of what's really going on. So I was out looking today and I saw this bald-faced hornet. This guy will eat honeybees, so be careful there. Apparently he will also mess up your beautiful pergola, so we're going to go ahead and take care of him. So if you're ever walking through the park and you see one of these hanging out, this is called a swarm trap. It's essentially a beehive up in a tree, and the screen on the front, you can rotate and close off their entrance there. So the point of that is when you do finally get a swarm that moves in, you can then at night come out, rotate this guy to cover that little hole, and then you can take that swarm anywhere you want to go, because you can detach these from the tree if it's just hanging on a hook, or you could just unscrew it. But then you have your own group of bees, move them at least 3 miles away, set up your hive, and you're good to go. When you're dealing with nucleus hives, such as this one, or that one over there, notes are very important. You want to be on top of things like how many wax frames are being pulled out. Is the wax now getting filled with honey, nectar, pollen, bee bread? And there's a difference between pollen and bee bread. And what's the brood look like? How's the queen laying? All of that's very important, and especially so when you're taking your notes for nukes, because within a week, things can get out of control. So if you're in the business of having nukes, just remember, take good notes. If you're trying to make consistent splits, like this one that we're looking at is making me a queen right now. They'll probably have a bunch of supersedure cells in there. And what I'll do is before they emerge, which is the same thing as hatching, but they already hatched when they were an egg. So the word emerge. So when they emerge, I will split them amongst these other two. And same thing goes for over here. This one has a queen, and she's laying great, but I'm going to take some of the resource frames from this one and supplement these two. And all that does is help create more hives. And of course, I'm going to support both of these nukes with anything that I grab from my swarm traps or other hives that are getting out of control. When you're walking by your hives or you're just sitting out observing them, make sure you take some mental notes as well. Today was pretty hot. I opened the little cabin's entrance reducer. You can see the bees are hanging out on the inside. And I'll show you a little bit closer what that looks like. Just kind of hanging out, being fun. Wondering what I'm doing. In the other hive, I kept the reducer in, and the reason I did this is we are looking at nearly 4 boxes high, and I know that the top box is empty, so there's room for that hot air to go up, and there's not as many bees. So doing this helps them regulate heat a little bit without overdoing it. And over here, we got a lot of bees and not as many boxes. So they're going to have trouble regulating. Even when you sit in front of them like this, you know, if they're fanning real hard, I can actually feel it. And you get the bonus of the smell. The smell is amazing. So just remember, each hive is a little different. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any words of wisdom, please pass it along in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, all that good jazz. It only supports us. And we'll be making longer videos in the coming weeks. I just want to do some short ones because the last couple have been super long. I'm giving you all time to watch them and digest.